So this is Mike and Sarah Tucker. Mike goes by Tucker. So for the longest time, I thought his first name was Tucker until I found out.
It confuses everybody.
Tucker,
Yeah,
Tucker.
I was like, Tucker? That doesn't sound right. So you guys have been in real estate for a minute. And Sarah, you are in landscape architecture.
Yes, I'm a landscape architect. Don't ask me why your plants are dying, please.
Can you please tell me? Can I get plants with no water instead? And Mike, you are in IT. So what brought you guys to Lifestyles? How did you hear about us? What drew you in?
Well, back in between 2010 2015, we were always looking around for things to place our money and things to do after we witnessed like the big real estate crash of like 07, 08, kind of that time period. And we realized that we really just didn't want to put our family retirement in the stock market. And we were actively looking for either businesses or something at the time. And we were reading a lot of things. And we really started honing in on real estate is where you need assets that produce cash. But we had no idea what we were doing. And on a whim, I typed into Google, real estate mentorship. Help me, please. No.
Google. I'd like to retire.
Yeah. And lo and behold, Lifestyles was there. I don't think they were number one at the time, but.
So also, you're in IT. So my husband's also in IT. So what kind of drew us into it as well, other than trying to find places to put our money and grow our wealth and be able to eventually retire, was IT tends to be a little bit volatile as far as turnovers and whatnot. So that was a big push for us. Did you guys kind of feel the same way, or?
You know, it really wasn't that as much for us. I mean, being in IT and being software development and working in the cloud was...
What's the cloud? Explain it to me.
Yeah, somebody else's computer.
Explain blockchain.
It's math.
What is math?
Yeah, and kind of compounding on what Mike said, we've been together a long time, and I swear as long as I've known him, he's always kind of talked about one day owning properties. And I don't even know if he realizes that it's something that's always been in the back of his mind. So when he found Lifestyles, was like, hey, there's this group, I think I'm gonna check them out. I was like, well, of course you are. It was like kind of a no-brainer. And as far as not wanting to put our money into, into stocks and stuff, that's one thing that for me, I never really understood why is that how you retire? Because I've seen it go up and down. I was always like, that just never really felt right to me. So when he talked about real estate and found this group, I was like, okay, well, I'll check it out. I was really reserved. I was like, is this a scam? What is this? Who are these people? I grilled them for the whole drive up to Dallas for Christmas one year.
All these people in the audience are plants. Yeah. I know it.
So Lifestyles was really kind of, it seemed like a little bit of a no-brainer. Like there's this group, they know what they're doing, they help you figure it out. They don't just take your money and run, So it was interesting finding this group.
I think we joined in 15, so.
Oh,
I think so, yeah.
You bought your first property in 16,
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
I was trying to pull up the numbers.
15 or 16.
Like I said, you guys, it's actually really hard doing a case study with members that I know because
it's hard clicking a button.
It is hard clicking the button.
Okay.
It's hard doing a case study with members I know because I'm like, I already know your story. So you're looking for like-minded individuals, kind of friends, and you were looking for a financial peace of mind. I'm trying to click, I swear. So tell me about this property. Now, this was not just a quick little, let me change out some countertops and make it look a little bit better than it did.
No.
This looks like a big old mambo rehab. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a home, off 281 and between Fair and South Cross, and so it's an older, established neighborhood. I think the home was built probably in the 20s, and so really small kitchen, old bathroom, everything was falling apart. So this is a home where everything had to be done. So gutting the kitchen, gutting the bathroom, redoing the floors, rerunning the electrical, plumbing, everything. So it was.
And
it was
this
a big
was
job.
not your very first property.
No. I really honestly can't remember what number this is. Through the years we've bought and sold and bought and sold,
yeah.
but we'll see our portfolio at the end. But yeah.
So you don't think that this would have been one that you would have jumped in right out of the gate? It was something that you kind of felt a little bit more comfortable with?
Yeah,
I really like that
yeah.
tile in the bathroom, by the way. That was really pretty.
Yeah, the contractor did a really good job on that tile. Yeah, no, this is not one that we would have done for our very first property. This took a few years of having done a foundation, having done a roof, having done plumbing, to go kind of go, we can do that, you know.
But looking back on it, after you did take those gradual steps, I also being very risk adverse, needed to take those baby steps as well. But looking back on it, theoretically we could have, because you're utilizing contractors and you have people that.
But it's really hard to write a check.
It is.
It's really hard to sit back and watch somebody else do the work.
That is
What do they
fair.
call it, like T-Rex arms? Like,
Yes.
I can't quite give you that
I
money.
can't, my pen doesn't reach,
Can't reach my
right.
pocket. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so this one looked like you guys made a little bit of money on it. So it appraised for $185. You purchased it for $109. Your rehab was $35,000, and your cash out of pocket was $34,500. Your equity capture was $36,000, and you're cash flowing $290 a month on this puppy.
Here we go.
How quickly did you get it rented? Because it's beautiful.
We put it on, we put it out and advertised it online, and I did that at 10 p.m. before I went to bed. I think by the time we woke up in the morning, we had blown up and had 60-something responses. We had showings that day, and we had a lease before lunch.
So just a little
It was
while.
really hard to find
It was
somebody.
really
Yeah.
hard to
So
find.
in
really,
hindsight,
really
I guess
hard.
I should have asked a lot more for rent.
Potentially, or maybe you had it priced exactly right and you were offering best product, best price. All right, so between the properties that are currently in your portfolio, you guys have given yourselves a $55,155 annual amount of money that is coming in through your investments. And you are sitting on $703,000 of equity capture. So,
Heyo.
yeah, that's a big chunk, and you just watch it kind of grow with each property and go on from there. And as we've discussed, you have sold off some properties over the years, but that's what's currently there. So ultimately, your goal when you joined Lifestyles was to be able to retire at some point and not feel so constrained by that W-2 paycheck and all of the rules and bosses that go along with it. So looks like at least one of you is comfortably retired or could be comfortably retired. All right, so short-term goals, just buying some more single families, kind of seeing what's going on, start getting
we're-
into multifamily.
Now that we've got young kiddos at home, we're probably looking to transition away from the single family. It is just a little bit more involved than being a passive investor. I mean, a passive investor sits back and collects the mailbox money. Of course, there's other things passive investors do, but
mainly just that.
mainly okay. But yeah, I think getting away from the showings and getting away from the the closings and all this other
Yeah.
stuff and sourcing and trying to find stuff is just a little more involved than we want to be at this phase of our life. And I think that we're looking to transition into the be more active in the preferred membership.
Yeah.
And also, the glory of it is you can do both. You can keep your single-family properties or continue to acquire them if you so choose, or you get a little bored, you need those boys to have a little project to do on the
something to do
weekend.
with the kids.
Yeah, these current single families right now, they have a little bit of room to run. With rents increasing and everything, they're keeping pace with the equity. So, we every year we look and see is like, okay, is our return on our equity worth keeping this home or not? And
So far, it has been.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we're averaging right around about a 12% return on our equity, and so that's a great return for keeping those in single family.
Absolutely. And should you sell them, you have the option of saying, do I want to buy more single family or am I going to start going into multifamily? And diversifying is never a problem either. All right. Well, so let's see. You have used several of our agents through Lifestyles Realty. And on this particular property, for hard money, you had Searchers Capital, and for conventional lending, it was AMP. Anything you want to add as far as how you went about finding this property, how you got this property, anything along those lines? Any advice? I know it's hard because you guys have been members for a while, so pretend.
Yeah,
that
I'm
this
trying
is
to
your first
reflect
time.
and figure out, remember what was unique about this one. It came across in an email blast, from the Challenge program and the real estate agent here, and we were able to claim it and put it. I don't know if we do tags anymore, but we were able to get it and tag it and lock it up, and we moved on from there.
How quickly did it close?
I don't remember, but they're usually pretty quick. It doesn't take much time at all.
I love that you guys just bought this house. And you're like,
You're like,
I
I don't
really
remember.
how
I don't
long
even
this
remember.
took. It was really
The numbers.
fast.
Look, when you get to this phase, I guess, you kind of learn to trust the system, because look, we've been doing this for 7 years now. So you scan, you know exactly what to look for in the email. You go doot 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 doot. Numbers make sense. Let me look at the picture. Let me look at the names. Okay, sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And you have trust in the system and what they estimate, and time and time again it comes back into like it's either
Exactly what they said or better.
Yeah. And side note, I remember one year, 2 or 3 years in, one of our agents, Chris at the time, he had put the numbers in, and he told me like, "Hey Tucker, I'm leaning very conservative. I'm conservative. This thing's going to make like a 30% return." And I remember when we were all done, it was like a home run grand slam. It was like a 100% return.
Yeah.
I was like, "Chris, how come you just didn't blast it as a 100% return?" And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
are you mad at me?"
Because then it just becomes icing on the cake, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Fantastic. Anybody have any questions for the Tuckers? Tucker?
I'll just get up. I'm just wondering, so these properties that you're buying, you're saying that you all send out
Yes.
emails to them, and you say, you have so many properties and you just pick one out?
Yes, so the question was the emails that they discussed as far as the properties. With our challenge membership or our preferred membership, you have access to our realty company. So what they do is they spend the day being your front lines. They're searching and finding properties and evaluating them, and they literally send them out an email blast form, so you can actually find properties just by checking your email.
So how close do you all work with at the courthouse? Every Tuesday out of the month?
No,
For sale there, or?
That sounds like work.
that does sound like work.
And that's
So-
what I'm wondering, do you all?
No, we have wholesalers that do that for us. So how that is going to work is our agents are strictly looking at properties that are currently available or have been sourced by a wholesaler or someone that has stood at the courthouse steps and kept their fingers crossed the entire time trying to get the property under contract or get the property owned and then turn around and sell it. So we are just evaluating the deals as they are when we've received them, and then we send them out to the members. So.
What do you consider when you consider I guess the neighborhood? 'Cause,
What do we consider
I've been
the
to
neighborhood?
Neighborhoods, and I've seen a lot of them.
So that is interesting. We do not consider a lot of things within the neighborhoods. What we're doing is we're looking at the numbers, and we provide those properties, and you as the investor kind of make that decision on your own. We typically are not going to go into areas where we would be scared to get out of the car, so it becomes a situation where it's your own personal litmus test. What we recommend is when you find a property that might meet your investment goals, drive at about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, drive through and just see if you'd be comfortable getting out of the car and checking the mail or whatever the case is. If you catch yourself speeding up a little bit or rolling up your windows or making sure your doors are locked, we do not recommend investing in those properties. So to kind of put it into perspective, prior to being a single family mentor 7 years ago is when I started this role, I was an agent for Lifestyles Realty. So again, putting this into perspective, if I wasn't going to get out of the car, then it would be a situation where I wouldn't send the property out.
We're all like creatures of habits, right? So even the realtors and even the wholesalers, like there's certain areas of town that are just produce great rental properties, so they naturally focus there, and so it just is by natural selection. The ones that the cream rises to the top are the ones that are already going to be in good rental neighborhoods, because you understand they're running the comps, they're understanding that the neighborhood has good comparable values.
Absolutely. We are finding properties that are in neighborhoods where we have nice, hardworking, blue-collar families. And you also have to remember, too, one thing that I derive great joy out of in my own personal investment properties, and I'm sure the Tuckers can agree, is whenever we go into these properties, we're not trying to find the junkiest house in the junkiest neighborhood and just throw a little bit of paint on it and see how that works out.
Absolutely.
We're actually going in there and beautifying the house and therefore making the community better. And we're continuing that when we do our stringent background and credit check screenings on the people that we're placing in there. So we're not placing anybody that's going to make the community worse. We're making sure that people that are coming into this property are going to contribute to the neighborhood. Can't tell you the number of times that I've started a rehab on a property and had people that live next door and surrounding surrounding areas come up and thank me. Thank you for cleaning up this house. There were so many rats. That lady was a hoarder. Or, oh my goodness, kids used to sneak in there and that just
Yeah.
became a den of problems or
Yeah.
whatnot. And now I've made it a beautiful house that a family's living in and taking care of the lawn.
Yeah, and like kind of piggybacking up, one of the things you had asked was, any advice or anything like that. When we got started, one thing that I really drove home to Mike was I was like, we're not going to be slumlords. We're going to do this right. We're going to make sure that these are clean, well-built, safe homes for people to live in.
Sarah needs to sleep at night.
Exactly. And the way I always approach, like a lot of you, I was raised do unto others. You know what I mean? Like, why would I build something that I would not feel comfortable in and expect somebody else to be okay there? My thing is always like, we're blessed that we can afford a home, where we live, we can afford the nice things that we can. And so God forbid I was ever in a situation where I couldn't afford that. And not that there's anything wrong with renting at all. I mean, no. But I would want to make sure that if I was in a situation where I couldn't afford a home and I had to rent, that the properties available to me were clean, safe, functional. You know what I
Your
mean?
landlord would
Exactly.
answer
And
the
we've been
call.
approached too. We've actually had neighbors come over and say, hey, I'm glad you're cleaning this up. And we've had neighbors be like, I'm going to keep an eye on this place for you while it's under construction.
yeah,
We
the
have
neighbors are
neighbors
the
who are
best
like,
resource.
who call us, say, hey, there's some guy here doing X, Y, Z. We said, yep, that's, so-and-so, he's here to fix the lights or whatever. So when you start to improve these homes, you really get to kind of see what the communities in these neighborhoods are like. And surprisingly, they're really tight-knit, and they want to see these homes, rented out or bought and fixed up and not be an eyesore. And they want a neighbor who's going to contribute to their community. So.
Absolutely. I don't know if that answered your question. We might have gone on a whole tangent.
Yeah.
There was a question over here.
Oh, question? Another question?
Somebody.
Maybe not.
Yeah, they withdrew.
All right.
I'll ask a question
Yes.
because you glazed right over it. Did you take time to understand your first property, or did you just look at the numbers and say, yep, we're closing on it?
Yes.
No, first, you gotta understand, when we joined, we were in the skeptical boat, and
say
we
the
were,
least.
Yes.
we were here at every meeting.
You thought we were a swingers club?
We
were-
asked a lot of questions.
we
We
were,
do a
well,
lot of meetings before
not only did we ask questions, but we would pull people over to the side.
How long have you been here? When did you join? Tell me
You know,
about this.
I want the real answer. Tell me the skinny. And you can ask around. I mean,
He's not joking.
it's Jody and Carmen and everything when we were, 7, 8 years ago now, and so it took a long time for us to move and take action, and we kind of sat back, and at that time, things were on fire and moving
Yeah.
quick, and we would sit here and watch people that joined after us make 20 grand, 30 grand, 50 grand,
Yeah.
100% return, 70%. At the time, that was the norm, and we're like, that guy that we just met is just doing that, and that guy's an idiot. I mean, we could do better. and so
No names,
finally we hopped in. I mean, I don't know if we have time for that story for the first property, the fourplex, or not, but
Yeah. Well, actually, that does add another thing, too, because I think that, we make this sound all rosy and wonderful and kumbaya. But when you call and ask questions, do I always tell you what you want to hear?
Nope.
well, I want you to be blunt, so yes.
I was gonna say, yes, in a way, yes. We're like, Julian, is this really? And
If
you're
I
like, no.
if I want the real answer to something, I call you, and because you're not gonna sugarcoat it.
Yeah, exactly.
We are
yeah.
Band-Aid rippers.
But no, but kind of what Mike was saying, and to kind of answer your question, as far as our first property, like we said, it took us some time to ask the questions, really watch things, and kind of go, okay, I don't know. And we sold our house, bought a fourplex, and moved into one of the units and rented the
Our
other
very
three.
first property was a fourplex.
Of course, we didn't have kids at the time.
And I have to tell you, so that was, I'm talking about jumping in the pool in the deep end. We emptied our 401k,
Yep.
completely obliterated it to get it. And we bought a fourplex with 3.5% FHA loan. We had to move in there and promise to live in there for a year and a
And
day.
you did.
So we moved into unit number 4, and at the time, the rents on every door was $650, $640. And today, we still own that property. We moved out in a year and a day, but we still own that property. And today, we're getting $14.95 a door.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you go back to the portfolio, it's the one that's
It's what, 20
makes 30 grand
Yeah,
a year
29 something,
on that
30.
one property.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's
29,200,
funny
sorry.
about that is that as long as it took us to get that first
Tw-
property, we
28,000,
bought the
sorry.
next one.
We bought 3 that first year.
Yeah, we bought 3 in our first year. So once we kind of did that, we're like, okay, we've done one very minor rehab.
Which is
floor
Creeth.
paint.
Creeth was one of our originals.
Creeth was a little bit more involved as far as rehab. So we kind of dipped our toe in a little bit at a time. You know, we learned lessons on.
Dipped your toe in a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You moved into
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, as far
Yeah.
as the kind of rehabs that they needed, you know, we learned a
like
few
a
things on
cannonball into the
Sendero.
10-foot deep
We
end.
learned a few things on Creeth, and then as we got more,
Our,
we
our
kind of learned a
remodels
little
got
bit
more and more complex
Yeah,
as we felt more
and
comfortable.
now it's at the point where we see Olive Street, we're like, oh yeah, that's fine, we can do that.
Yeah,
And
nothing scares us
The only
anymore.
question is, do the numbers work? And if the numbers work,
You don't have a water heater, you got messed up foundation, the roof is falling in, the electrical is run with
Fix it.
lamp
Yeah.
cords.
Their extension
mean-
cords and they're waterproof.
Not this one.
and they're dating, yeah, true, yeah, not this one, so.
I mean, I'm going to make one quick story, and it's one of my favorites because, again, we always like to talk about the plus sides and how the pretty before and after pictures. So one evening, Mike had called me, and he said, hey, I think that my tenant just called me and said that the house smells like burning. And my immediate reaction was, that tenant is definitely an overreactor. What does that even smell? No, it smells like burning wire.
Yeah.
And I was like, who even knows what burning wire smells like? Well, he's an electrician. So he crawled up in the attic and made sure that everything was fine. But you
Called
also
me
had
back.
they got the fire department out there.
No, he
all
calls
of
me
it.
back. He said, "Hey," he called me back, Mike. The attic's full of smoke. I was like, James, what the are you doing? Just call the fire department.
Call the fire department.
But again, sometimes it happens, and everything turned out to be fine.
Everything was okay
and
in that
sent an electrician
situation,
out,
so.
got it fixed, and whatnot. So again, sometimes things do happen, but
Somehow a rag got in the vent of the hood of the stove, and
Somebody turned it on.
somebody turned it on, and it clogged the blades, and it burned out the motor, and smoked up the attic.
and the person that did know what burning wire smelled like, the
Yeah,
electrician.
that was. I think I called you late at night. I think it was like 11 o'clock
Yeah,
at
I think
night.
it was a
I
little
was
bit late.
answering the call like, what is
Yeah,
going
why is Tucker calling me at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, like it must be something important if he's calling me at
It
this hour.
must be. And then I was like, now you're just reacting. I'm like, ooh, this is actually happening. But
So
the
it,
point
it
is-
sounds like you self-manage. Where
It
did you
does.
learn those skills?
School of Hard Knocks?
No, I think it was taking the time and understanding the Lifestyles program and watching other people lean on the mentors and lean on the education that's here. And without that, we wouldn't have been able to move forward.
Yeah, no, there's no way we
So-
could have done this without Lifestyles.
They do. They completely self-manage. They do it all on their own. But we are here in case you smell burning.
Yeah,
wire.
and I think we're probably a little more hands-on than some other single-family owners are. We get really involved in the renovation process, but you can be as hands-on or hands-free as you want, man. It's
I cracked that whip on those GCs.
That is the whole thing. So when we say hands-on, are you guys doing any
No,
of this
no,
work?
no.
oh no! I'm not
Your
out there
hands on
like
it.
like installing fans and
Like
no.
looking at things.
No,
so you're
I'm
hands-on,
out
looking
there-
at things and making phone calls and text messages.
super
and-
involved. Doing this
Yeah.
tile is a little crooked over here.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You're not
why is
painting
that
in your
like that?
heels?
Yeah. Where's the caulk on that case? Yeah.
Second question, so you keep referring that you call her and ask her questions, so you have a mentor
That is correct.
answers the questions, because, I mean, not.
That's right. That's-
Oh, yeah.
We own our own home, but
It is me and Jody and Jody
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Central
that's the-
Texas.
Yeah, so that's when they talk about the mentors, it's them. And yeah, when you're in the middle of you're looking for a property, or you're trying to, or you're managing a tenant, and you're like, I'm not really sure what to do. You call them and say, hey, I've got this situation, and they provide with the knowledge that they've gained through the years of doing this and being in our shoes. Like they kind of say, okay, here's what your next step should be. Here's what we recommend. Here's a number to call. And so
We also have a giant community. So if I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
the answer, I will.
she'll
find
reach
it
out
for
and
you.
find us some kind of answer.
I think over the years, I've called you about every possible topic on this site. Screening applicants, felonies on applicants. I mean, just
And each
somebody
call you
can't
learn a
move
little
in,
bit more.
delayed move
Yeah,
in.
yeah. Every call, every tenant, every
A
property.
cat died.
You
I
learn a
mean,
little bit more.
so do you guys handle that yourselves?
Yeah, they teach you about how to do all of that in the 2-day. They will teach you.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But they'll teach you about all of that in the 2-day from start to finish, and you'll get a full overview of the entire model. But yes, from start to finish, everything.
2 days on Saturday and Sunday, so if you got to work on Friday, you can still come over the weekend. I'll be here Sunday.
So how do mentors get assigned, or is it just several?
No, So we go basically based off of what market you're in. So if you're a member that lives here in San Antonio, you will more than likely be working with either myself, Jody, or Joey, and we will be kind of your home-based mentor. But you have access to the entire mentor team across all the markets and national now. I keep forgetting that we're national because I'm still here in San Antonio. I'm like, those other places. So you do have access to any of the mentors, and ultimately, depending on whatever your question is, more than likely, if you're investing in this particular market, you'll stick with your home-based mentor. And if you invest in another market, you can reach out to those mentors, or if you just have a general question, we're all here.
So you're sending leads, as a member, you're sending like, leads to properties like wholesale?
I'm so
from
sorry?
Wholesalers? So
The
you're-
agents do the
agents,
email
those
blast,
are the
the
real estate agents,
not the mentors.
not the mentors. We are the,
Right, but
we are,
I'm saying
yeah.
the company, like you, if you're a member, then you're getting information about properties that are available, like from investment.
That have been sourced through our realty company. Mhm.
At the challenge level.
You mentioned you can be as hands-on or as hands-off.
Yeah, it's your choice.
And
That's true.
So I'm listening to what you're saying about screening tenants, et cetera. Quite honestly, I find that quite intimidating.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I can
I'm
understand.
good at many things. Probably.
I offload that. So it's a good question. I mean, I use apartments.com. Everybody has a little bit of different resources. Some people use NTN, but there's a lot of different resources that you get educated about. I use apartments.com. When the tenant applies, they pay for their own background screening, and it comes back with the whole history automatically for you, and you're completely hands off. The only reason I don't do NTN anymore is because I have to type it into the system myself. You know how many times I fat fingered that thing and had to spend another $40 to rerun it? So I just don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I rely on them to type
Yeah.
in their own information.
And if the numbers make sense and you just don't want to find a tenant at all, you can also reach out to somebody to lease it for you, to find somebody to do that
Yeah,
whole portion
yeah.
of it. So it's hands-on or hands-off if you want to be.
Exactly.
I'm a big proponent of doing at least one on your own so you know what it
Yeah.
is that you're doing, but no, it's a very easy
Yeah,
process.
over the years, we've learned how to minimize our involvement, right? So everything's online. We do all of our lease documents online, all of our rent collection and security deposit collection, everything's online. So we have worked ourselves out of the occasion. The only thing that we're really active in at the end of the day is either showings, closings, or keeping on those general contractors to get the work done.
So you're
Pretty
there
much,
to
yeah.
sign checks and pick them up, huh?
And that's it.
Kinda.
That's really it. We got one question in the back. I know that we're probably over our time,
I
but
know,
yeah.
It's been taking a while.
Last question.
Well, I know you're pretty techie, okay, I'm not.
I am also not.
What's that?
I am also not.
So how does someone who's non-techie know how to do all that stuff all their life?
I think the answer is the 2-day.
The 2-day. And this is the guy that you want to listen to. That's
Yeah, we go over this really in depth in the 2-day, and, you know, they kind of alluded to it. You can hire all this stuff out if you don't want to. So,
Yeah.
you know, you can just make your cash flow parameters a little bit higher, and then you've got room for property management. So when that place is about rent ready, you hand it off to your property management company. They do the showings, they do the screenings, they do the lease up, they sign the lease, and then you just start collecting checks.
Yeah.
And like I said, hands-on or hands-off as you want it to be. I like to be involved. I do my own showings. I want to get to know the person that's living in my unit. That's me, though. I've got a lot of time, too. I work 4 days a month.
I think I went
Gets
to
me
like
out of the
4
house.
2 days before I even took any action.
That answer your question? You good? Okay. Was there a follow-up? Maybe. I'm feeling a follow-up.
Just in the 2-day, I can learn how to do all that stuff on the computer.
Well, it's like in Mike, I'm not sure if you heard Mike. He said he went to probably 4 of the 2-day sessions. He went probably 4
Yeah.
times. Before,
Piggyback on what
before
Jody
really-
said. She learned so much in the 2-day. It was like a 4-year college degree or 2-year college degree in 2 days, right? So there's no way. It's just such a wealth of information that 2-day. I mean, you could write and fill up pages of information. It's not going to settle in until you hear it the next time and the next time and the next time. And that's why I personally took so many times to go the 2-day. But to answer your question, you get you learn about your choices during the 2-day, not learn how to like log into
And then you
apartments.com.
eventually make the decision that you'll just get the membership and have people help you do it.
Yeah, and then that's what the mentor's there for,
That's what
right?
we're there for. Well, thank you guys so very much. Can we give the techers a round of applause?